Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Doel asked the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Again to Blakey's boot room here on Wales Online. Nathan and Steve in the studio as always to head up the big Bluebirds debate. No games this weekend, chaps, so we all had a nice...
They are coming.
Thank goodness for that. Weekend off.
Absolutely, plenty to talk about. Obviously, a new face at Cardiff City this week, Paul Trollope coming as head coach. We'll talk about him in a lot more detail coming up. We've also got the fan survey that we run, the results of which we published yesterday. Some pretty damning findings in there, which we'll come on to. But maybe we'll start by going back to the last game, which seems a long time ago now, but it seemed another sort of tipping point. A draw with Brighton at home, a better result than they've had in many recent games.
Hey, come on, unbeaten in their last two games, Doel.
So but in terms of the reaction, I wasn't at the game myself. I know you two were.
I was there.
There seemed to be a hell of a reaction to it in terms of the performance. As many people saying this was the worst yet in terms of being completely.
I think just enough's enough.
It's tipping over into farce.
Yeah, well, I think it's just enough's enough. I think when you've paid for your season ticket or you pay for your ticket to come and watch, and you've paid, I think I made this point before, under Mackay you had a regime which largely focused on the defensive and hard work and fitness, and they were successful in that. Then you got to the Premier League, which should have been a great season for all, but was probably the most unenjoyable season for most people for a long time. Then you had the change of management and all that debacle. And then the new manager in Solskjaer, no one really could see what his strategy was. He had his own vision, but no one shared it. We just couldn't see what he was trying to achieve. And largely now under Russell Slade, you had a situation with Ollie where you had a lot of changes, and you've got the same now under Russell. Yes, he's clearly trying to get his team together, or his players together. But the players that he's bringing in aren't what they were, if you like, so expectations rose so high. We were signing players for 3, 5, 10 million pounds. Now it's gone completely the opposite way. So people again, and now if the owner wants to get to the Premier League and sell, or just get back to the Premier League, people don't see, well, if that's your strategy by signing lesser players than you were before, no disrespect to those players, but they're not like Medals who are going to go on to play for Inter Milan or whatever. They don't quite see the direction of the club, and this has been what I think most people's problem is. I don't see the direction of the club. I don't see by doing what they're doing how they're going to achieve Premier League football. It might happen. I'm not saying it can't, but I just don't see what direction they're trying to go in. I don't quite understand it. It doesn't fit everyone else. If you want to go up, you spend a bit of money, you get a collective squad, you build sort of thing. But we don't seem to be building to go up. We seem to be building, if anything, to just sustain them, just to hold where we are. And we haven't played well for such a long time, right? We haven't played well for such a long time, as in the football we play. I think I've always said, people have said to me on other shows, it's about the winning. Well, it is, but it's about entertaining. If you come to watch me, and I'm a boxer and I get battered around for a round and knocked out in, 60 seconds, you're going to think, that was a waste of time. You want to see me perform, and you want to see me perform well at the end of the day. And, if I'm a customer and I'm paying, like Mr. Tan says, I'm a customer, I'm paying my hard-earned cash to watch my team, I expect at least, a few decent performances in the season. And I don't think you can say that, and it's been a long time.
I think the squad. Oh, you talk about the downsizing and the lowering of expectations. That's all fine. I still think there's not the best squad ever in the Championship, as maybe. But it's still a good squad. Yeah. I just think Solskjaer couldn't get the best of it, but then again, Solskjaer couldn't get the best. As you say, his vision was what it was. Nobody could buy into it. And I think Slade now is not getting the best of it. You've got Kenwyne Jones fronting that side. That's a Premier League striker. I'd say 99% of the Championship would kill to have Kenwyne Jones leading the line. You've got the best keeper in the division there. In between that, you've got a host of talented players. Not Solskjaer, not Slade, so far anyway, have managed to pick the right group of guys and get them into a shape and motivate them. I blame the players as well, mind. They are underachieving on such a massive scale. It's unprecedented.
Do you know a big problem as well? When you have like this transition period, like you did under Ollie, what you got to understand is that the players who are there now know that my days are numbered, sort of thing. So you've got like, I think 4 or 5, could have been 6 players of Russell Slade's would have started against Brighton the other night, and Ravel started. So you've got a case of out with the old, in with the new. And I think what should have happened is not just Slade, but this should have happened under Solskjaer, and then the club shouldn't have allowed both managers to sign so many players so quickly. He should have worked with what he had, and should have had a policy of saying, right, we're going to cut our squad, I've said this before, from 34, I think it was, down to 25, 23. We're going to start utilising the 21s, so that the kids at 16, 15, 14 feel there's a realistic opportunity to end up playing for Cardiff City. So you start utilising the 21s, and you stop this new manager, here's your checkbook, go out and sign the players you need. What should have happened is they should have had a 1 in, 2 out policy. If you get rid of 2 players,
I think that's what he's done, though, to be fair.
No, I don't mean Slade. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this should have started under Solskjaer. So basically, you could have trimmed our squad by 10 players without bringing anybody in.
Well, I think, to be fair,
I mean,
Slade himself said it, didn't he? He said this squad hasn't been built. It's been thrown together. And I mean, that again, don't get me back on my hobby horse, but that's a legacy of the Solskjaer.
Yeah, but that's easy for him to say, because that's a bit of a get-out clause as well. At the end of the day,
to agree with that to a certain
I do agree with it. But I do agree. But I said, under the players, by the time Ollie left, for me, all we were lacking was pace out wide. And you had Pilkington come in, and Noon was still injured. And I said, all you need is go and sign a couple of pacey wingers, a couple of pacey linemen, and a bit of creativity in the middle of your midfield. What happened? Strikers, defenders. It seems to have been the heart of the problem for me, has been for a long time the central midfield, and both managers seem to ignore it. Both of them.
It is an odd one, isn't it? What do you think the football in the style is so bad?
No confidence.
Because Russell Slade would say, he has said Leighton Orient were an attacking team.
He says they were top scorers. They were 4th top scorers. He was a bit of a hero down there. They were more than happy with the football. All right, albeit at a lower level. Is it just the difference in levels? I think they're completely demotivated. Well, I think that has a factor. But I think, as Becky said, there's people there completely.
They've had enough.
Just totally have had enough of that. And also, I think the shape and the side, they've never. How much have they? We were having a go at Solskjaer for his the Tinker Man and all that. Slade has fallen into exactly the same trap. Exactly the same. You go back now, there's, strikers tried, defenders tried this. People say, oh, he's playing the wrong formation. You can't say he's playing the wrong formation. He's tried every flaming formation. Do you know? There's not a formation known to man that Cardiff City at some point under Slade have not run out, whether they started the game like it or finished like it.
That comes with pressure, though. That comes with instant. That comes with needing instant success. But I always say, sometimes 9 times out of 10, when a new manager comes in, you get an uplift. But sometimes, if it doesn't happen, it tends to go backwards.
They had it. They won 4 games at home.
Like it did under Ollie. Went backwards a bit after the Newcastle Cup game. Well, under Slade, it went up home and away from home stayed the same. Now, Russell's got to be, confident enough in his own abilities to be able to say, well, sometimes things might get a little worse before they get better.
Yeah.
But like I said a couple of months ago, we were hoping by now to start seeing, a better style of football, more possession of the balls, not just be, about a set pieces and, a settled team, a settled 11, with 16 to 17, a squad of 16 or 17, which is settled, with maybe a couple of the under 21s being drafted in and out, to give them game time, to give them experience. But it's not. You can see he's having to chase the result, the win, to be able to get people off his back, because he was already under pressure when he came, because he wasn't really wanted.
Look, Blakey, you get a vibe, don't you?
Yeah.
You get a vibe of these things. When Mackay came in,
that vibe.
you do. When Mackay came in, you immediately saw, all right, they're going to be tough to break down. This ain't going to be pretty, mate. You saw that. Solskjaer, nothing. All at sea. You immediately got the vibe. Does this guy know what he's doing? No. I'm afraid that under Slade, getting that same vibe. People are not stupid. Fans are not stupid. They could take these results, and they are particularly bad runner results, obviously.
If they
just
could
about.
see the
if you were looking at it, going, I see what he's trying to do. Okay, right. Maybe he needs another guy in there. It's close. It's a work in progress. People would take that, but the vibe coming off it is, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Crikey, our survey that you mentioned earlier, Doel, more than backs that up. People are looking at it and saying, this guy's all at sea, he doesn't know what he's doing. And we know that's a self-perpetuating cycle, because as Blakey says, you're chasing the results, you're paranoid, you're looking over your shoulder, and things suffer.
It's difficult to say a man who's been in management that long doesn't know what he's doing.
No, I'm saying that's the vibe. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing for a start.
I'm saying he must know what he's doing. But I think it's the pressure of having to get a result. So I'm going to have to tinker here.
I tell you what, those people who said the job was too big for him, put it this way, they're not sitting saying, oh, I'm very sorry I said that, I was totally wrong. They're not saying that. They're finding that their beliefs have been... Is there a doctor in the house? They're finding that their prejudices are being backed up. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't. We'll take you.
I went to laugh and went the wrong way.
We'll take you to A&E later, Blake. Yeah, you're gonna have to carry on with the show for now. Sorry, man. But it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And to come back to our survey, which I hope everybody's had a look at, I think it backs up what everybody's thinking.
We're going to come to that. If only to try and gloss over what just happened.
Choking, Blake.
No. Choking.
Hey, you know what? That proves it's live.
Exactly.
We haven't recorded it. And actually, anyone who watches it regularly knows it's live. Surely they don't sit and edit this rubbish, do they? It'd be like ludicrous.
No, that might be good for hits. That.
Watch Blake's coughing fit live. 10,000 people. That could go viral, Blake. Not the coughing. I mean, the piece itself.
Indeed. All right, let's come to the survey then. Published results yesterday. We ran it throughout last week. A dozen or so sort of key questions put to fans. I won't go through every single one. Quickly with the first one, which was, where do you think Cardiff City will finish this season? The big winning category in that, the bottom six but avoid relegation, 49%, but 23%. So that's nearly a quarter of people believe Cardiff will get relegated.
Do you know the worrying thing for me, John? They played Blackburn. I thought if Blackburn get a result against Stoke, any sort of result, could be dangerous for Cardiff, because it gives them a lot of confidence. Got a great result.
That was a hell of a result.
Yeah. And Conway looking very good. Player I don't think we should have got rid of. Guested looking very good. Another player I don't think we should have got rid of. Because they, Conway's he'll have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's one of them.
Yeah.
And I always thought Guested was a work in progress. Coach him, and he was going to be almost unstoppable, which has proved to be the case. But my worry is they come down Blackburn with a lot of confidence, and had King scoring a hat-trick.
You can't get beside that King, can you?
We don't pick up a result, and then we've got a real monster game going up to Huddersfield. and we're just the scary thing is we're not performing. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to the stage where Russell Slade, forget tactics, forget team talk. First and foremost, give me everything you've got leave it all on the pitch. Give me 100% performance. Yeah, first and foremost, because every game's gonna have to be like that now. Otherwise, like we said a couple of weeks ago, the teams below pick up the odd win.
Yeah.
And I can't, we don't look like picking up a win.
I still think, and I think we said that before, though, I still think there's worse down there.
Yeah, there's that one place, though. I think Millwall are
is.
occupying it at the moment, and they picked up a result the other day. I think the bottom two are gone. I really do.
Yeah,
But I
Millwall,
think,
Blackpool.
Wigan and Blackpool.
Yeah,
I think they're gone. But the Millwall, the last spot, I think, and looking at our fixtures over the next 3 or 4 games, if we don't pick up a win in the next 2, we'll be 17th, I think. Even if the others don't win, I think we'll be 17th.
It'd be interesting if Wigan pick up a little bit come the end of the season.
Forget. We're in a tailspin. We're going to crash.
You cannot see where the win is coming from. That is, we were talking last week about the Brighton game, but we were looking at the Brighton game, weren't we? I mean, we got 6 points on the way. We were looking at the Brighton game and saying they got, they're suffering like hell.
We are, yeah.
They're terrible at home. If we win that. Didn't really look like winning that game. We're talking about the absurdity of it. I think that we had that shot in the second half. Was it Gunnarsson had that shot? And there was a round of applause around the ground.
Like ironic.
Yeah, like a few cheers. Hooray, we had a shot on goal. And that must just absolutely sap.
Well, it was the same thing when Makeda took that touch in a game. I can't remember what it was. And he got ironic applause. And his confidence just went. Well, what that does is just an already depleted team. You just suck even more out. Well, there's little more you can suck out of them, I suppose. But it's got to the point where the fans are going, well, this is a bit of a joke.
We're going to have to.
And the players are going, well, we're not confident, and that's where the direction of the man. That's where you say how important the manager is. When people say, Jose Mourinho, yeah, but he got money in the best squad. It doesn't matter.
I think as well, there's one of the worst aspects of it. I think with the Cardiff fans are a pretty loyal lot usually, and they get behind their side. I think what's happening, as well as we were talking about earlier about the lack of direction and what's happening. There's a thought of looking at some of the players. I think fans, well, they don't care. Neither should I. I don't know if that's true, but again, that's the impression, the vibe that's coming off. They're not up for the fight. Why should us fans? Why should we be up for it? They look like they don't care. And I think that's transmitting onto the players. If they were if they were leaving everything on the pitch, if they come off and they were done 3-1, 3-0 or whatever, and they had fought their hearts out, when they were just outclassed, I think a lot of fans would say, "Hey, come on, let's get behind these guys. They're giving it all. Yeah. They're leaving. They're really putting their heart and effort in this. We've got to support them." That's not happening.
Doesn't that work both ways, though? And isn't that the crux of the problem in terms of the players can tell that a lot of the fans?
Yeah. I suppose it's a catch-22.
It's not that the players think that the fans don't care. It's the players feel that the fans are not supporting. They're not singing. They're waiting for the mistake. Yeah. So it's you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, if you like. Yeah. So you know what I mean? People go. I remember I used to play, and I remember speaking to Giggsy, and Giggsy saying, "Oh, our fans, they expect us to entertain them, and then they'll start singing." Whereas I was at Bolton.
Who's that? The Man United fans?
The fans at Bolton would always be, because their expectation wasn't as high as Manchester United, and
Hey, the Man United fans had travelled all the way from Surrey.
Yeah, but it works both ways. Do you know what I mean? I remember we were speaking about it for a good hour or so, and he was saying, like, sometimes when we go away, the away fans are just at it straight away. He said, but at home, they expect us to entertain them. And that if it's good enough for Man United, it's good enough for anyone else, because that's always been my thing. Football it's about winning, yeah, first and foremost. But you're in the entertainment business. Whether you like it or not,
that's
you've got to
not
go out
Cardiff,
and
Blakey,
perform.
but that's not Cardiff's way totally. In a way, of course we want entertainment and all that. Right now, though, crikey, we just want some spirit, I think. That would appease the fans.
Beyond there,
That's what I mean. That would appease them. They're not expecting Lionel Messi and like the Barcelona Suarez, wow, look at that right now. I think they're just looking at it saying, leave some blood on the pitch. Leave something out there.
I think we've hit sort of rock bottom.
You said tailspin, and that's the right description for it. Because you know what it's like when you're like that.
Yeah.
You try and
can't
get out of a
control
tailspin. It's impossible. You're going, you're like dear life trying to pull the nose up. And that sums up the situation perfectly. They're like that, and it's dangerous, and it could end in disaster.
So you've got players with no confidence. You've got fans who are very apathetic to the whole situation at the minute. And you say it's down to the manager to pick everyone up to drive it.
Yeah.
How does Russell Slade do that then when the result of the question on this survey, does Russell Slade deserve more time? 81% say no, he's out of his depth. And on top of that, he's clearly lost the fans. I mean, the media, us. I mean, he's had a barrage of criticism from people like yourself, Steve, in terms of the games and the football. How do you get out of that as an individual?
It's the same thing as if Russell Slade, when he first came and you got 5 wins, and the media were all writing positively, the fans were singing, they were chanting. At the end of the day, that's just life. You're in that job. You chose to be in that job. This is the career you chose. If it goes badly, this is what happens. If it goes good, this is what happens. So Russell Slade, I don't think he'll take much notice of it, or if I was him, I wouldn't take much notice of the fans or the media. Right now, my only concern would be getting my team to be hard to beat, first of all, and trying to get the wheels, because at the moment the wheels are spinning backwards. So first of all, you need to get them to stop and then slowly go forward. And that's what I say, with a strategy and a vision where people can see that the signings you're making actually fit into the team, and you can see what's being developed, and you can see a pattern of play developing over the course of, how long has he been here? 3 months, 3.5 months. You should be able to start to see it now, and without it is what makes people go, enough's enough.
I mean, speaking from a media point of view, because I'm kind of at the sharp end of that, I know maybe supporters not worried that much about, although that's where they get a lot of their information from. I don't think Russell Slade is doing himself any favours with the way he's approached that in many ways now. I think he's shown the way he's reacting with the media in recent events. I think he's given away that he's feeling the pressure himself. Whereas I think a good manager, even when they're under pressure, doesn't show those cracks. Is usually a bit more. I've seen lots of managers under pressure. I've seen Dave Jones under pressure. Seen various managers, and they always, manage to give an air of respectability. I've said it before.
I think he needs someone at the club who he can bounce off. Yeah. Because I think if you look above him and you went, the chief executive, the chair and the owner, you're not going to be able to talk football with none of them, are you?
No.
Tactics and, I'm under pressure and I need to change this and what you think.
They've got their own ideas, obviously, quite strong ideas.
Yeah, but they don't mean to say they're right.
No.
So he's got no one, and then you look go below him and you look and it was Youngie and Gabs and you think to yourself, there's just no one of any sort of experience. That's why I said to you in the column, it's difficult because he is literally out there on his own.
Well,
you've got Trollope in.
What about this?
You must know.
Paul Trollope then brought in. I mean, not brought in as sort of as a sort of third.
Because in the survey, actually, 83% actually said that he needed a number two.
And Paul Trollope brought him with the job title of head coach, which has quite a senior sort of ring to it. Slade insisted this morning that Trollope was his appointment. He wanted him to come in. So it's
What
not
is it with it's mine?
Well,
But no, to be fair, he was asked. He was asked, is it your...
Because
you know,
this is the situation he's in at the minute. Everything that happens, people are perhaps coming at it from...
Have the board brought him in.
Negative slant. Suggestions, here, if Slade loses one more game, he's gone. That's why Trollope is here. Does Paul Trollope's appointment this week mean that Scott Young will now have little input into the team? Hopefully, he says in brackets. So that was the suggestion this week. He's clearly been brought in. He clearly wants to. He's clearly going to have a big part to play as head coach. Is he the answer then? He's somebody to bounce ideas off. Is he? What
I like Trolley. I think he done well as a manager. But if I'm going to war, Trolley's not the man I'm taking with me. You know, Cardiff at the Cardiff. I'm being serious. I like Charles. I like him. He's a great guy, great with the Welsh squad. Largely on the periphery when we played, but always good guy, good character, good amongst the lads. I was surprised when he went into coaching and management.
Why were you surprised, and why wouldn't you take it?
Because you know, he's not what you would say he's that steely kind of character. He's a nice guy. But he's obviously good at what he as at coaching and what have you. So maybe the coaching position is better than being the leader, if you know what I mean. Because the coach needs to be able to go between manager and players and form like a bridge between the two, and you know, carry information back and forth and connect everything together. But then his coaching ideas have to be, you know, on song, because first thing players do is, once you're training, if your training is rubbish, and they'll just nail you behind your back. That's how players are. You know what I mean?
You do get people who are suited to those roles.
Yeah, I
think more than the manager role.
I think at the moment, what I'm saying is, because we're in such a bad position, I don't know if Trolley's the man who's going to be able. Yeah, I hope he proves me wrong. Yeah, that's first and foremost. I hope he has a good time here. I really do. But I wouldn't say he's the man who's going to dig you out of the kind of hole we're in right now. Because I don't think we're in just, maybe in a relegation battle. For me, we're in it, mate. You know, we're in it. And two more, you'll see, after Blackburn and Huddersfield, if we don't pick up a win, we're massively in it. Do you know what I mean? And I think Trolley are hoping his coaching and what he gets across on the training field is what gets the wheels turning the other way. But then I look at, I always say, I look at the manager and I say, well, were you a coach manager or were you a manager? Because if you're a manager, then you've left it too long. You've let too many games pass to appoint the number two. Because if you know you're not a great coach, because there's plenty of managers at the top level who know they're not great coaches, but they have a great number two, he should have appointed someone sooner, because he's let a lot of games pass. And maybe that is the problem, what you see on the pitch. Maybe that's why he's brought in a head coach, because he's not a great coach. Maybe.
You get the impression from it that what makes me believe maybe, you know, Slade has brought him in is the very fact he doesn't seem the type of guy that if Slade were to get fired to do you know what I mean? He's not a replacement, is he?
I mean, he's got decent pedigree as sort of number two with Chris Hughton at Norwich, isn't he?
Yeah, and at Birmingham as well. So, I mean, it's just interesting to. I mean, obviously, don't know him very well. I know he did well at Bristol Rovers for large sections of it. So
I think he was very young when he got that job.
Yeah, but I mean, he took them up. We got a promotion. So, I mean, it's interesting to listen to Blakey, because obviously he knows him better than either of us do. So it's nice to listen to him talking about it. It's a little bit troubling that you're saying, well, this isn't the guy, because, you know, we need I think Cardiff right now need not a miracle, but they need a real boot up the backside.
I couldn't say to you, if you said to me, okay, give me a replacement for him, there's only like the Sam Allardyce's and Tony Pulis's, the normal, when everyone's in trouble, the person you reach for. I can't tell you like a coach who I think, he definitely get you out of that situation, because all coaches these days, you don't train to be in a relegation dogfight, if you know what I mean. It's when you're there, you have to then kind of put your strategy together to get out of it, but you don't envisage yourself being there at the start of the season. So no manager would have an exit strategy, if you
plan
like,
in place.
plan in place. So you know, he might be the perfect person. It sounds like I'm contradicting myself now, but he might be the perfect person. But I'm saying, I think where Cardiff are now, I would have gone for someone experienced who's perhaps been in that situation before at a club, and then you just look around and see what's available.
Well, I suppose, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, I suppose. Hopefully you can have
the eating.
It still makes it all seem odd that Slade didn't get to bring his Nugent, his number 2 at Orient, with him, because the suggestion was he wasn't really offered enough to.
That's what I'd heard.
They certainly didn't pull out all the stops to
no,
try and get
it wasn't
him.
maybe that much worthwhile for him to quit.
And again, that's down to Cardiff City. That's down to the club's own fault. You know, if you know anything about football, you know, 9 out of 10 managers, well, I don't know a manager who comes into a club and doesn't have a team with him of some sort, whether it's 1, 2.
It always happens, doesn't it?
At every club, you know, because
you get the manager appointed, and then the next thing you're announcing is his assistant.
The trust issue in football is massive because there's so much, you know, backstabbing goes on. The trust issue is massive. I'll be straight, there is. You know,
I mean, of course, Malky didn't have it because Dyche stayed at Watford, didn't he?
Yeah,
But he
true.
brought in, he's like his head coach's assistant then. So.
and he brought in his people here.
Yeah, he sort of did. Yeah, I was just trying to think about it. And of course, Solskjaer came with
yeah,
his
and he
guys,
brought a
so.
team, and then he brought people into the academy as well. It's.
But what I'm interested in Blakey, we talked all around this thing. You know, and this maybe.
What chance we got?
What needs to be done now? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot or anybody on the spot, but you look at this figure. He's out of his depth. 81%. Do you? I mean, it's the question that goes on. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you stick or twist now? I don't know with Slade. Is that him in for the season? Is this it now? Do we say?
I think you have to. You can't. He's just signed 7 players.
I don't think.
We just hope that there's worse than Cardiff, because they're not going to get out of it themselves, are they? Going to rely on others.
They are relying on others.
That
is
doing
no doubt.
badly because they're so.
Unless they have maybe if Trolley gets in now and maybe they have a turnaround, become more organised. Because I said, like, first of all, if you're going to give up the amount of possession we give up, then you've got to be really hard to beat. You know, you've got to be so close and together and as a really good unit that, you know, you don't concede chances and goals at the rate we do.
Yeah.
But we're not defensively. We play defensively, but we're not hard to beat. It's like.
It's like I was saying earlier about that. It's so hard to see what the plan is there, and that's what's I think frightening a lot of supporters. Is what is the aim? You know, are we?
Because stranger things have happened than a Premier League club get relegated 2 divisions in 2 seasons.
Indeed.
We wouldn't be the first.
Nope, won't be the last. Let's have a few of those fans' comments then. Let's go through here. Sam here just saying Graham Kavanagh would have been a much better shout as a coach, City legend, someone there to galvanise.
It doesn't have to be a legend, mate. And he had a bad time at Carlisle.
He did.
You know, you want someone who's got a bit of confidence in what they're doing, and hence why so many people call for Tony Pulis, because you've done an unbelievable job at Stoke and an unbelievable job at Crystal Palace. So he's on a high. You don't want someone who's just been sacked.
I don't think Pulis was ever going to come here.
No, he wasn't.
No chance.
Don't just.
Well, put it this way, I think if he'd come here, he'd be gone by now.
Don't just appoint people.
He would have just been like, nah.
What I'm saying is, don't just appoint people because, you know, their affiliation. Appoint people because they're good at what they do. Simple as.
Okay. Let's have a few more then. Where are we? It's all about experience, says Abdul. Ole and Slade do not have any at this level. I believe if we had a first-class manager, we could get out of this mess. A few people sort of bringing up Pulis, Neil Lennon as well, who obviously has gone into Bolton, had a bit of an effect. He's a real galvanising type character.
I think he would have been a great signing for us.
The problem is now, with the value of hindsight, everybody seems good compared to what we got. You know, it's like, oh God, I wish they brought in so-and-so or so-and-so, you know.
No, but I think
there's probably people out there saying, I wish we kept Ollie. He'd have kept us up.
Harry Redknapp comes a suggestion.
Whoa, and his dodgy knee.
That would be an interesting mix, wouldn't it? Harry Redknapp, Vincent Tan and dodgy knees, yeah.
Look forward to interviewing him out of his car window on transfer deadline day. Always a good one.
Yeah, Steve saying, I honestly can't see where the points are going to come from.
That's
Our
the point,
performances are
isn't
so
it?
dire at the moment. I think other teams losing will keep us up, not Cardiff getting enough points, really reiterating what you've been saying there. And how about this from Paul then, which will lead us on to maybe another thing from the survey. Do you think Slade is keeping Whittingham in the team just to tell us, I told you so, when he scores or eventually gives a good performance, similar to Lafondra, he said. I mean, a couple of things on the Whittingham issue, actually. The question on the poll, does Peter Whittingham deserve a regular starting spot? 74% said no, which again is not a surprise. It's an issue we've been talking about for some weeks. Interesting from the press conference this morning, though, a couple of quotes from Slade asked about Whittingham and Gunnarsson, that what you've identified as the problem, and kind of admitting perhaps it is. We know what Whittingham brings to the table. By his own admission, he hasn't been in the greatest of form, but he's a quality player. The combination with Gunnarsson should be a good one, he says, because Gunnar breaks the play up so well, and which should be able to get on the ball. It ought to be a good combination, he says.
But
at this moment in time, you could argue it probably hasn't been working quite so well. Having said that, we've played with 3 in there at times. It is a headache trying to get the balance right, he says.
Tell us about it. The one thing I would say about Whittingham is as well, how often has he responded so positively to being out of the side? That's the thing about him, that, you know, when he was taken out before, he's written off and he always comes roaring back. You know, it's not like he's in there and he's unused to being withdrawn from the side. Well, yes.
It's difficult for me because I don't go to all the games like you, but it strikes me we've been doing this show for some time. I don't know.
It seems a lot longer than it is.
Just the third season probably, and pretty much since we started doing it, it's almost been a weekly discussion point, the poor form of Peter Whittingham. And yes, there's been moments where he's had the odd good game, and you can point to the set piece now. But as a general theme, it strikes me for the best part of 3 seasons, we've been pretty negative about him.
I think we ought to be seeing how he reacts to being out the side, because really, I mean, as we say, it's not working there. Midfield has been the problem all the way, hasn't it? I mean, you talked about this in your column today. I was reading that. It is. Cardiff consistently, as I said earlier, they've been through every formation. They've had 3 in there, 5 in there, whatever, 2 in there, 2. They consistently lose the midfield battle, and there's no platform.
I remember saying that when we were in the Premier League, that with Whittingham and Gunnarsson, you needed more creativity, and he definitely needed more legs, because Wits, you probably remember me saying this now, he doesn't cover the first 5-10 metres quick enough. Yeah. And the Championship is as quick as the Premiership for tackling and closing down. If anything, it's probably a bit more frantic when it comes to the closing down. And I've been saying Wits needs to just work on that first 5-10, not just to close people down, but to get away from his marker, to give himself more time on the ball. And he's getting older, so you may need to adjust his training schedule slightly and think of other ways that you can keep the sharpness up. But without confidence as well, you know, none of us can play well without confidence. None of us. And I think it's been left too long, with Wits. And Gunnarsson, I don't think there's been enough pressure on their positions then. It's almost like, you know, and when I first started saying it, people were saying to me, if you had done a poll, I bet you would have been probably flip side of that. There would have been 70% people say, right, Whittingham, because they kept harping on about these 20 goals he scored. That was in 1990 something. And I'm like,
1854, a fine year.
You don't pick people on what they've done in the past. You know, that's not the way football goes. Football's about the present and the future. You know what I mean? You pick people on the here and now. If you've had a poor game for the last 10 games, you don't just keep saying, oh well, you know, you put him in there because, you know, 2 years ago he was a great player, and you know, it's just not the way. I've never known it at any other club. You don't play well you might get 6 games, 7 at a push.
Why hasn't he given it? Because it seems you've got, you know, people like Ral's been brought in, had the odd good game, and
done well.
Adeyemi, obviously O'Keefe is here now, but whoever sort of goes in there with them at the minute, nobody's replacing them. There's nobody really sort of saying, oh yeah, he's got to be there instead of Whittingham. It's him. Obviously, there's no.
That's what I mean.
Choice.
You talk about pressure. I mean, nobody's stepped up and claimed the place.
Because they're not being given enough of a chance.
I would say. I don't think. Like Adeyemi, I thought started to show a bit of promise. started to look really strong in midfield, anticipating knockdowns, driving through, picking up the ball, playing it wide, 1 or 2 games, and then he was out.
I wouldn't be very surprised at all to see Whittingham and or Gunnarsson out soon.
Well, maybe even tomorrow. Sort of first suggestion.
Well, exactly.
However much
but
you
that's
read into it,
but again, you know, if you talk about things, everything being given a negative slant, right? Even that then looks a little bit like Slade's reacting. Do you know what I mean? Even that does. I don't care what anyone says. You
Reactive rather than
it looks like
proactive.
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't
After
do it
the
himself.
event.
It's been forced upon
Close
him
the
by
gate
people
and
like
the
us
horse
or
was
fans.
already
Yeah,
over the-
well, yeah.
I
That's
know
how it
what you mean.
looks, doesn't it? You know, it looks.
Well, I've been saying that for a while.
Everything takes on a negative slant. You go about time, but it took him long enough, and
Hey.
you know, I mean, if it works, it works. Though, I mean, that will be the proof of the pudding. If he does go in there and alter, if suddenly they look a much more solid outfit, a bit more creative, then
Like I said,
good.
Russell Slade doesn't have no one to lean on, so he can lean on the boot room. He can lean on us.
We're the
It's a tough time to be a football manager in the world of social media and all that, because
Oh,
it's so there's everything.
I don't envy
Everyone's
anyone.
opinions are so accessible, and it's, you know, and as the
It's
media,
almost as bad as being a
the
football
media,
writer,
you put,
Jolie,
the, you put the fans' sort of views forward, don't you? Champion the fans' views, and they're so accessible to you know. If they're not happy, you could, you know.
Oh yeah,
they're
you've
not
got to
happy,
have a look at it
aren't
on your phone. Everyone's slagging you off. No, I have.
That's what I say.
Quite
That's what I say. If you're in the manager's position, you can't get involved in reading the good or the bad. You know, it's like a player. You don't look at yourself and go, "Oh yeah, I got an 8 out of 10. I got an 8 out of 10."
I don't know. I've
And all
had
of a
people come up to
sudden-
me when I've had a low score.
And all of a
Some
sudden,
players are looking
you know,
at them.
someone's got a 2 and their confidence is down. You start
A 2?
Just don't bother reading it.
I never give a 2. I would
Just don't
God,
bother
that's
reading it.
suicide to
He's
give
been
a 2.
having a lot of love this week, all Tucks, off 2 former Cardiff City players, Michael Chopper and Jay Bothroyd. Actually,
Oh,
yeah.
Doel. Yeah, we did our team of the decade, didn't we? And I put them as the strike for, you know, the last 10 years, and I just thought, what you give. I tell you what, in that though, I had Percy and Huds as my centre-half partnership. I know that's controversial, but imagine one of them. I know Hudson. Imagine one of them in the middle of that defence now. They would be having kittens. Can you imagine Percy? I know he wasn't any great skillful player, but what a man motivator!
Yeah, he
What
was
a
a leader.
motivator that guy. I'd give anything to him in his prime, if he had a prime. No offence, don't come and get me, Daz. Him in his prime, in the middle of that defence, he would be going bonkers now. Can you imagine the people, the tellings off he would be administering? Oh, brilliant.
Should declare an interest. You've always had a strange amount of man love for Darren Purse.
I love Darren Purse. We love, except when he was hunting me down to have a word with me that time. There was the words you never wanted to hear as a sports writer. Hey, Darren Purse is looking for you. Be like, I think I'll just go home now. I want to see him. But oh no, we love Daz. I spoke to him the other day. He's fine and good, in a good place.
Good stuff. Okay, let's focus on Blackburn tomorrow. And we've already mentioned a couple of the familiar faces who are returning, like you say, on the back of that FA Cup triumph. Last week you both predicted wins against Brighton, and we know what happened there.
No, I was never going to predict. I think it's going to be the most boring game in history and finishing 0-0.
It's difficult looking at the bear.
I don't know about
We'll struggle
Gusted.
against Blackburn.
Come on, let's be honest here. Everyone's saying Gusted. Is it not a bit of a being wise after the event?
No.
Where were you then when Gusted went? I don't remember you going, hang on, mate.
No.
This is a big mistake.
I wasn't saying it was a big mistake, but you have to look at a player's attributes, right? And Gusted, he done a bit of work. What was clear to me was Gusted had all the attributes to be a very good player, and it was I call it the Steven Gerrard effect. When Stevie G first come on the scene, he kept getting injured, and if you notice the way he walks what we call 10-2, Stevie G, and he had a lot of problems with his back and what have you, and it was growing basically. He was a growing boy. And it was the same with Gusted. I always felt Gusted, he leant over quite a bit when I first seen him, which meant his core was weak. These are things you know in sport. His core was weak.
What are you suggesting?
Right? And I thought if you strengthened his core, got him more upright, improved his stride, and coached him to pull off. I seen him against Stoke pulling off at the far post again.
Missed a good chance.
Pull off. Yeah,
by the way.
people strikers do. Pull off at the far post. Pull off at the far post. I thought you'd get, just by headers alone, he'd get 10 to 15. I actually said that to Dave Jones. He'd get 10 to 15 goals a season. Coach him. Work on his core strength, because what you got to understand, when your core strength is weak, nothing else works properly. It's hard.
Why are you looking at me?
It's
My
hard.
core's all right,
Yeah,
man.
it's hard to explain, but it's nothing else. Fire. So when he was landing and jumping and physical, he couldn't handle.
But didn't he work with Darren Campbell?
Yeah, that was on.
Sprinting.
Yeah, he did.
Sprints,
So
right?
he
I
was
remember that.
starting. He was starting to come into a situation where his core was going to strengthen and he was going to mature. For me, it was a no-brainer. I know I wasn't shouting from the rooftops, don't sell him, because, you know, you should be able to replace any player.
I'm desperately trying to Google Nathan Blake criticises Rudy Gestede to try and dig something
I'll
out
catch
from
him
him.
off. I'll tell you what, he's got goal. He's got goal Tuesday night written all over him, though, hasn't he?
Keep coming. Keep coming. No,
You must know Blake. Hey, come on,
No.
Blake. He's never been known to.
Well,
get
here
anything
we
wrong.
go in, where are we? September 2012, Cardiff City need another striker on loan. Where you dare to suggest that Etienne Velaconia and Rudy Gestede were still pretty unknown quantities. That's about as strong as I can find.
And look what look at Etienne Velaconia now, genius.
I know I never
Wherever he is.
criticised Rudy because I know what I said to Dave Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was his size and he was an athlete, but the biggest thing I always said about Rudy was he was very good on the floor. When you see a player with that size and that stature with a nice touch, you know, they're hard to come by, and he was always going to fill out and be a bit more thick set.
Yeah.
He was never going to be able to lose the ability to leap, and he already had the technical ability on the floor. You know, come on, fellas.
Right, the way we're talking this, he's got goal, hadn't he, written all over him Tuesday night. A tempting fate in a massive
we
way.
should say we're bigging up Blackburn, obviously saying the players they've got and the FA Cup win. They're only 6 points ahead of Cardiff in the table. We're quite happy to look backwards and say Cardiff are 6 points off relegation. So they haven't done that much better than Cardiff.
The problem we have with Cardiff, as we say, is just the
see
standards. I mean, I found in our polls, are you happy with the style of football? No, it's downright boring. 94%. Well,
the only thing surprising about that is that it's not 100. I suppose.
yeah, I suppose that is. Yes, it's entertaining. 1%. Look, if you're out there,
Who
you're
are you?
1%. Gonna have a lie down in a darkened room.
Easily,
Normal room.
easily pleased.
He's very easily pleased.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
very good.
What do we think then for prediction-wise? We're coming towards the.
Why do we
end.
persist with our predictions when they're always so rubbish every week? I mean, I don't know. Do we just? It's just like a habit, isn't it?
It is.
It's like smoking or something.
Can't-
Just
I
can't
would
break
say,
that shit. What are you going to say now?
I would say you've got to predict without a Cardiff City hat on.
Well, yes.
Looking at it from, you say, oh yes, but we
God.
always do.
Well,
put
at the
out
minute, that's
words
hard though, because
clouded.
it's just having them losing every.
Yeah, as a total neutral. If you were placing a bet now, where would your money go?
I would say something like 2-0 Blackburn. I think Gestede and I think I just they're playing
hard to
so.
see it.
They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
playing so. I mean, having witnessed, you know, as you say, crikey, they had a great afternoon against Stoke. Their confidence is going to be so high after that. They're going to be like they're going to be walking
Yeah.
around like, wow, you know, Premier League scene off into the quarters. You know, they're going to see the draw they get now on like tomorrow night, or is it tonight or whatever.
That's
They're
what a
gonna
good
get
cup run can do for
you know, and
we've
they're
had
gonna-
that discussion
and
before.
Cardiff, let's face it, the antithesis of that, they're on the floor. They're absolutely, they got their own fans jeering them. I think it was you said to me yesterday, we were having a chat, and you said you'd be better off at Ewood Park playing it. Cardiff,
They would at
to
the
be honest,
moment.
right now, because
They're
they
not confident
dread
at all.
going out
Yeah.
there, and as you say, one bad touch, one mistake, rubbish. You know, but I don't blame fans. And
No,
I'm as-
because I'm
as
usually
guil-
saying, come on, fans.
well, I know.
You know, get
part
behind
of me
them,
is,
blah, blah,
part
blah,
of
blah,
me
blah.
is wanting to say, come on, let's all get. But we should, you know, let's, you know, relegation fight. Let's
Well,
all.
our fans have
come
been
there.
battered for the last
it's
2
really,
years, yeah.
it's really hard, even for me, and I think I'm representative of a lot of people out there. Just hard to get the enthusiasm. Mr. Joe Average on the street, I think. It's really hard to get the enthusiasm up because you know what you're going to get: a half-cocked effort, a boring display of football from a bunch of guys who look like they're thinking, well, I wonder where I'll be next season. I don't know, where am I going, you know? And overseen by a manager who, for being a lovely guy, and Russell Slade is a nice bloke, looks like he hasn't got this foggiest idea how to get these guys together. But apart from that, it's going to be fine. No, but I mean, that's the attitude now, and it's bad. And I'm saying 2-0 to Blackburn on a night when Cardiff City desperately need a win. I hope, I hope, like usual, I'm wrong.
It seems like an unbreakable cycle at the minute, is what we're saying.
Nosedive.
Nobody has come up,
Tailspin.
you two and nobody else I've seen has come up with the answer, as in, from tomorrow, this needs to happen and everything will be okay.
It's not that easy, John. You can't, that's Alice in Wonderland stuff, that is, you know what I mean? It's just not that easy. Every club at some point will get into a position of weakness then. It's whether or not your foundation is strong enough to support you through that time. And for me, the problem is that our foundation, which the club currently is built on, isn't strong enough to handle this sort of situation. And when you say, like, people, what do you mean foundation? I mean your philosophy at your club. The choice of managers, what is that built upon? What have you got, your due diligence? What have you done at the bond? Why have you brought in Russell Slade? Why was the Ollie Solskjaer appointed? There doesn't seem to be a thought process behind it. Yeah, so trust me, we've just got out of the blue-red situation. There isn't a magic wand. It's not going to change in a game. It is a gradual, hence why we say when Slade took over, we'd hope to see the shoots of recovery by about January, February, and then even if you're losing, the play-in is better and people can go, oh, we're getting there though, we're getting there. Maybe okay, as long as we stay up this season, next season, he'll have us at it, bang, bang, bang. So
I think that's all you can hope for now.
It's not, there isn't a one-off.
Stay up this season, and then in the summer, just reappraise the situation. I mean, on all levels. In the summertime. In the summer, we'll go on holiday and forget about it. No, but I mean, you just, as we say now, it's just stay up. Hopefully, other people's frailties, if rather than Cardiff's virtues, will be enough. And look in the summer.
Here's another thing. Lafondra, you send him out on loan to get confidence. So he goes to Bolton and starts scoring goals. Bolton are one of your rivals around you. It's just, why?
I could never work out why you had to leave Cardiff to get confidence. What was that all about?
You would have to, because that's over my head. That is, I'd have to. You'd have to say to me, "Can you explain that?" I'd have to say, "Can you explain that to me?" Because, confidence is, I mean, if he goes out and starts scoring goals, he ain't going to want to come back here, mind. We need as many goals as we can. So if he goes out and starts scoring, that makes me think, well, what was happening at Cardiff that made him so unhappy, that made him so down, made him not have that confidence? Because we all seen it, little by little, his opportunities in front of goal were coming, and he looked less and less likely to score each game. Yeah, and I watched him for Bolton on the weekend, and he was as usual, here, there, everywhere, a couple of opportunities.
I mean, to be fair,
and his goal he took fantastically well.
I mean, Russell Slade spoke about that today and said, sometimes a change of atmosphere does do that, though, doesn't it? It does lift you. You go somewhere and suddenly you fit in better than you.
No, I think it's because you're leaving the pressure of not playing well behind. Do you know what I mean? But you're not going to a team who are super confident. Bolton, if you notice, they've actually, under Lennon, they've just basically dug in and have pulled themselves out, and they are playing better football. Because Bolton's synonymous with great football, that club. They've even under Sam Allardyce, they're like the JJ Kocher and what have you. So they've pulled themselves out of it. So you look and think, why would you let him go to your rival and get them out of any difficulties if he starts scoring goals? And whilst you're still struggling.
Well, a bit strange, but that's...
There's a lot of mysterious things there that we may never get to the bottom to. But
in the heart of the city
there'll be
stadium.
a series of really good books coming out in like 10, 20 My Cardiff City Years by
Steve Tucker.
Cardiff
City. I can barely remember them, but here's my book. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think all you can hope for is that they stay up this year, and in the summer somebody has to reappraise the situation.
Who though? That's the worrying thing. This is the people who've done
Made
the
the mistakes
appraisal
and
or
still,
whatever. The people who've made the judgment calls on whatever basis up to this point has got us to where we are.
But isn't
today.
it always the same like that? It's always the board is eternal almost, and the managers are, the same guys who appointed the guy are firing the guy
But my
and hiring
point,
someone else. That goes on at every
my point
club,
is,
really.
you're not you're making decisions which people probably know that's not a great decision. Before you've like, once it's out on the public, people already made their mind up, like with Russell Slade, before they even come here. People were saying, well, that's
Yeah,
is that what you need to get you back to the Premier League?
That's not necessarily, I mean, sometimes you get an unusual appointment, and it just
And it
happens to
works.
be the right,
It clicks.
it has to be the right person
I
in the right
always
place
say
at the
that.
right time.
You always got to give that.
Like, so,
but what I'm saying is, you got to, back to back. You look at how the appointments. Mehmet was, Ollie's mine. I've made sure he's mine. He's mine. He's mine. And then the next Russell, no, Vincent Tanner, he's mine. He's mine. He's mine. It's like, well, what are you basing your knowledge on? Where are you getting your facts from?
Yeah.
You can't say to me, oh, well, I spoke to this guy and he said blah, 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 he'll be a great manager. Well, if you spoke to someone who likes him, of course he's going to say he'll be a great manager one day. If you're taking like Solskjaer's appointment into account, you could speak to Alex Ferguson. I'm sure Fergie would think that all his boys will one day be great managers and coaches, but it's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there, chaps. Plenty to think on about. Big game tomorrow night. Let's hope it all goes goes off without a hitch.
He didn't do a prediction. He sneaked under the prediction radar. I was the one who had two. He's the one. He's setting me up. Yeah, do it without your Cardiff City hat on. Do it with, and then he's just like, come on, Blakey. Take your Cardiff City hat off.
What is that about?
Yeah, a bit lower. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll go with you. I'll go 3-1 loss. I think we'll struggle.
I think so.
Okay. All right. 2 negative predictions there, probably as expected. We'll of course be blogging that. I think it'll probably be you, Steve. Will it tomorrow potentially? Tomorrow?
I'm not. I'm on other duties.
Other duties.
Yeah, other
Okay.
duties.
What happened? Can I just say what happened to the Sheffield Wednesday positivity when he was like, I was there. I started to see.
shoot some positivity.
It was a point.
Hey, come on! It's a bit late in the day to be bringing all that up. The shoots of positivity appeared, and somebody put some weed killer on them, and they dampened down again. Hey, unbeaten in their last 2.
That's
Come
what I'm
on.
talking about.
We started the show with that positive frame.
what I'm talking about.
I'm leaving you with that positive frame of mind. Unbeaten in 2.
If they win the next 2 games, it's unbeaten in 4. You see how the rhetoric changes?
I fancy the playoffs. That's another story.
Still mathematically possible. There we go. On that note, thank you for joining us as always. Thanks for all your questions and your comments for the boys to consider. Live tomorrow night, as we said, against Blackburn, and of course we'll be back next Monday. See you then.